The Path of Exile team just had a recent stream that just blew everybody out of the water, and the Blizzard team is not too happy. Let's check it out.
I wasn't going to make this video, but am now for 2 reasons. The first is this tweet right here from the Diablo
Oh, yes, right. The Diablo 4 VP or whatever, Rod Ferguson.
for General Manager Rod Ferguson, which we'll analyze and attempt to explain in a moment. The second is Pal Moana Exile's talkative try here talking about an absolutely stunning series of events that occurred on the biggest.
By the way, this trailer goes so hard. The Path of Exile 2 trailer, insane. This most recent one, so good. So cinematic, very, very high fidelity, like CGI, whatever you want to say, but it was done really well and looks really good. Oh, man. If that was not the perfect hype builder, on top of everything else that's going on, I don't know what is. Get excited for Path of Exile 2. It's going to be a ride, folks.
Biggest day for Path of Exile ever. I needed to document this. I needed to showcase this to everyone. And I need you to understand, this is not a video trashing Diablo 4, its players, or its developers. It is merely examining a pivotal piece and moment of ARPG history.
He said this video is not a video to trash on Diablo 4, but can we just go ahead, everybody, anybody watching, can you just go ahead and put a D4 bad in the comments, please? If you're not going to say anything else, just put D4 bad. Thank you. Thank you.
And immortalizing it here on YouTube. November 21st, 2024 shall go down in the annals of gaming legend, and it's not because D4 is bad, it's because the way Blizzard maneuvers their non-existent relationship with their closest competition, Grinding Gear Games and Path of Exile 2.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, Blizzard is treating Path of Exile 2 like the unloved little stepbro and trying to just ignore it and pretend like, oh, it's not a threat. It's not a big deal. Like it's just going to go away or whatever. And Path of Exile, the original game, just continued to grow in popularity still to this day. And Path of Exile 2 has such massive reception right now. I mean, it is so hype. If you are not on the Path of Exile 2 hype train as an ARPG lover, you are just lost. You are confused. You are nowhere. And Blizzard acting like it's not a threat. They're getting ready to get kicked in the pants right here. They are.
So please, no need to spam D4 bad in the comments. Let's
okay, do it in my comments then. I invited you. Please, D4 bad. I'd love to hear it.
Break everything down. November 21st, 2024 was the day Grinding Gear Games unveiled what Path of Exile 2 would look like in early access. They revealed its vast endgame systems like the Atlas and endgame-only pinnacle bosses like Zesht. They explored...
Imagine having endgame content. Like, period. And this is me, a dad of a 3-year-old coming from Diablo 4, the game that was basically made for me. And I did not like it, man. I played for about a month and a half. I got early access on that game. I wasted $30 to get early access on that game. And I boldly say wasted. It is wasted money. I wish I had that $30 back, honestly. It would be more worth it for me to have it back than for the early access gaming that I got to have in Diablo 4. It was pretty mediocre. It was pretty mediocre. And then it continued on, and it continued to be mediocre. There was a little ups and downs where it was like, oh, it's slightly less mediocre now. And then, yeah, it's just mediocre. And then I hear about the expansion. I didn't buy it. No, because I stopped playing Diablo 4 a few months ago. And then I hear about the expansion. It's also bad. D4 bad. I mean, it's literally true. D4 bad.
Or each of the 12 Ascendancy classes available upon early access launch, including the Infernalist for the Witch, which allows you to summon a demon dog and transform into Lilith. They also addressed something spicy in the most kind and articulate way possible. We'll revisit that in a bit. First, we need to note what else happened on November 21st at the exact same time as GGG Live, Diablo 4's mid-season rundown stream on its 7th season.
Wait. So they went live at the same time as Grinding Gear Games? I think this speaks to how popular that live stream was. I didn't even know it happened. I doubt most of you knew that happened. Oh, very poor planning. Very poor planning and decision-making, Blizzard. Wow.
Of note, Diablo 4 is getting the Armory in Season 7, allowing you to store builds in-game. That's pretty rad. Aside from that, there were no other large announcements, and there wasn't really supposed to be. But they chose to schedule their reveal stream to match up with the big Path of Exile 2 reveal, and here were the results by the numbers.
Okay.
On November 21st, Path of Exile 2 on Twitch popped off. The category peaked at 475,351 viewers, with 711 total channels streaming the reveal.
Okay, so that is big. Those are big numbers, but it's possible that they paid people to be streaming their live stream showcase, whatever, or restreaming it, or whatever you want to say. So, or co-streaming. So, seeing the 400,000 or almost 500,000 number is big, but it's not necessarily accurate to how many people were just fans of Path of Exile and not watching their streamer who was paid to stream it. Okay, so I'm on Twitch Tracker here, and here's Path of Exile, and yeah, the November 21st stream, 170,000 viewers. Whoa. Yeah, it's the largest stream on their recent streams list here. That's insane. Those are insane numbers. So even compared to that 500,000 viewer number for the category of Path of Exile, just for the Path of Exile stream alone to have 170k viewers is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so here's Diablo. We go down and we check, and November 21st. Ooh, I must not be seeing that right. There must be something in my eye. I swear there's something in my eye, because that looks like 4,500 viewers, which is a lot less. Like a lot less than 170,000. Whoa. So let me get this straight. The Diablo 4 live stream that they decided to schedule on the exact same day as the Path of Exile, huge, massive reveal, whatever live stream, absolutely tanked in comparison. Just absolutely did horrible. And if you look at their past live streams here, they're not doing too great either. This is a sign, my friends. It could be a trend here. Path of Exile overtaking Diablo 4. Path of Exile 2, Diablo 4 killer? Who knows? But at least in terms of reception on live streams, Path of Exile is way more popular right now.
This is absolutely massive. Even my live stream was crazy on Twitch. These numbers are amazing for me without raids. 490 max viewers, 397 average on a 5.4 hour live stream.
Dude, congrats. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great to see. People growing off of Path of Exile and the hype around these creators that are building this game up and sharing so much cool information. That's awesome.
Over 150 Twitch subs and 362 follows. On YouTube, it was even wilder. I had a peak of 1,583 people watching live on YouTube,
Nice.
Which is just insane. Other larger creators had even more massive volume, like Darth Microtransaction, whose stream went bananas on Twitch.
Max viewers, 21,382. Holy cow. Darth Microtransaction is popping off these days. Absolutely awesome. What a legend.
He had 21,382 max viewers and 58,517 unique viewers. Now, let's look at Diablo 4 on Twitch to compare. Again, by the numbers.
Okay.
On that day, their peak viewership was 23,217.
Okay, and again, keep in mind, he's looking at overall for the category, so we're talking about people who could be sponsored as well, not just the Diablo official live stream itself. So this is including numbers of people who could be sponsored to live stream at the same time or whatever, playing the game. Wow. And that is that is not even close. Not even close to the Path of Exile numbers. Oof. Even for overall category. Insane.
That's pretty good for a mid-season stream and a preview of Season 7. However, what I think is more interesting is the larger view, as I think this feeds into the tweet we'll discuss in about 30 seconds.
No way. No way. So they had a huge spike, which must have been, I guess, release or just very, very soon before release. And then it just dropped. That graph is just dive bombed.
Diablo 4 viewership peaked on May 31st, 2023, with 941,488 viewers on Twitch. Almost immediately, it trails off and has never recovered. At all. In the slightest. D4 is Blizzard's other big live service, content-rich game alongside WoW, which also peaked years ago.
Wait. Is that it? Aren't we talking about, what about Overwatch 2? Or, well, the update to Overwatch 1. And do they consider Diablo Immortal separate? What about, isn't there like a another mobile game? Rumble, Warcraft Rumble, and, all these other, what? These are just dead, I guess. They don't count. They're not included.
Ago in 2019 in viewership, but remains steadier than Diablo 4. Funnily enough, if you compare Path of Exile to Path of Exile 2 on Twitch, this does not happen as it does to Diablo 4.
Look at that. Look at that. Just steadily climbing. And even though there's some massive peaks and then it drops a little bit, the overall trend of the graph is just steadily climbing. The popularity for this game is just popping off. Dude, Path of Exile 2, man. Everybody, come on, jump on the hype train. It's okay. Don't be scared. You're in good hands. There wouldn't be a community that's riding this game so hard and growing so hard if it wasn't good. It's all right. You're in good hands.
In World of Warcraft, Path of Exile's viewership remains very steady every single time they release a new expansion or update. It's phenomenal. So, obviously, Diablo 4 is flailing. Blizzard is somehow left stunned about Path of Exile 2's popularity.
Wait, what? Little Step Bro stepped up and he's crushing us? What? What is happening?
And here is our only other exhibit of this truth. The tweet by the senior vice president and general manager of all things Diablo at Blizzard.
Rod Ferguson.
Feels like the genre of ARPG, in quotations, is starting to mean a lot of different things. Much like, in quotations, Souls-like, and, in quotations, roguelike. I wonder if we could normalize, in quotations, Diablo-like for ARPGs that follow the Diablo formula.
Okay, first of all, super pretentious. It's obviously Diablo that set the tone for this type of game, and so we should call it Diablo-like for all games. And that may be true. That may be true to a certain degree. But is Diablo, the franchise itself, following through on its own formula? Well, actually, maybe so. And maybe a little bit too rigidly. Or maybe they're dropping the ball in certain areas where they shouldn't be. And, they could have easy wins that they're not having. Maybe Diablo-like is not actually a good thing to be anymore. Maybe it was good, especially for Path of Exile, because they started that way. I mean, they're basically copying Diablo as far as I know. And then now they've just evolved into this massive beast of a machine that people just love. Absolutely love. And this is coming from, by the way, a not super hardcore Path of Exile fan, like of the first game. I've played it lightly, I've dabbled in it. And after playing Diablo 4, I'm starting to play it a lot more now because that game crushes even in comparison to Diablo 4. I can't believe it. Even the graphics, I look at the graphics of Path of Exile in some areas and then compare it to Diablo 4 and I'm like, isn't this game way older? How does it look pretty decent compared to Diablo 4? What is this?
You don't need to go check yourself. It's real. It's verified. It's a certified fresh and hot take from the leader of Diablo and Diablo 4. Breathe.
Yeah, dude, he's mad. He's big mad. Big mad. Yeah, and who can blame him, I guess, He's the VP of Diablo, the Diablo 4 team or whatever. Like, he cares about his IP that he's responsible for, as you should. But man, if you're upset about it, make the game better, Cut out some of the layers of bureaucracy that are obviously getting in the way. Because, man, the game is just not very good. It's not very good.
I'm not too sure how to honestly communicate how wild this is. My perception is that Rod either lives in a bubble or was aching for some fire to fly his way to get some engagement. You'd imagine after your biggest competition showcases something incredible, concepts made reality, that WoW haters, lovers, and people not even interested in Path of Exile 2.
I don't really know this Rod Ferguson guy, so maybe he was just super engagement baiting, just farming so hard. And it probably worked. He probably got some insane engagement. Probably mostly just D4 bads in his replies there, but, hey, there's some engagement.
That you take a step back and say, I bet we could learn from that. Instead, Rod decided to retreat into this tweet.
And see, that's what I was saying. You know, if you see another game rising in the ranks rapidly, I mean, really, the popularity overall for a live service game and series of games, because now it's Path of Exile 2, right? It's growing so fast. And if you see this as the head of your IP, you should be like, what are they doing that is getting them so much hype? We should learn from them. You know, we should take some of the notes from their book and put it in ours. That's what a good leader would do.
He stuck his head in the sand like an ostrich and started to scream.
Yeah.
Let me just read it one more time. Feels like the genre of ARPG is starting to mean a lot of different things. Much like Souls-like and roguelike, I wonder if we could normalize Diablo-like for ARPGs that follow the Diablo formula. The crazy thing is, the dude is right. The genre does mean many different things, and Diablo's biggest competitors are doing something incredible and bold, but instead of giving them a kind bow or not saying anything, Rod went out and seriously pitched other games be implicitly named after the series he currently oversees, and if they stray too far, then they cannot be compared to his precious Diablo.
Yeah, maybe we need a term for Path of Exile. Maybe they need their own term because they are now being the pioneers and pushing the genre forward and showing what actually can be done to make endgame in one of these games actually fun. Yeah, maybe it's time for Path of Exile to have their own term because Diablo-like, I don't think you necessarily want to be that right now.
This is hilarious and what so many people have said for years in a way about Diablo 4 and Path of Exile. But now the dude in charge is saying it too in a thinly veiled manner, and it's the only thing he'll ever say about Path of Exile and grinding gear games. Essentially, he's trying to say Path of Exile 2 isn't a Diablo-like anymore, so it cannot be compared to Diablo 4, and people should...
And that's a good thing. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. As I just said, D4 bad. You don't want to be a Diablo-like right now. You don't want to be that. Be your own thing, and that's what Path of Exile 2 is doing. Oh, man. They're taking the genre and then they're separating themselves from their roots where they did follow Diablo when it was much better and more popular, right? And now they're actually separating themselves like, hey, we're our own thing. We're doing our own things and we're making this genre better. We're building on the building blocks that Diablo did lay. And so, you know, there is some credit to be had there, you know. They built on what Diablo was and then they just ran. They ran with it to the most interesting and fun direction they ran.
Should stop trying to match up the two, which is just absolutely massive cope. What's even crazier is the term Diablo-like has been around forever, since the days of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, and it's how grinding gear games described their own game. They said it was a spiritual successor to Diablo 2.
There you go. Yeah, see, so they grew from that point, though. They were Diablo-like. And then they made it their own, and they grew, and especially with Path of Exile 2 here, they're pushing the envelope even more. We're taking things from Diablo 4. I mean, literally, it seems like they just went down the list, right? Hey, you start with 5 classes in Diablo 4 at launch. We're starting with 6 in our early access. And then they took their own socket system, and they're like, hey, we're going to simplify this. Sockets are going to be on character instead of on item. Boom. Win. Big win, right? It's just, yeah, they're doing so many smart things now. They're really above and beyond Diablo 4 at this point.
Way back in 2010 and onward, they recognized the genius there. They captured it and they built on it, and now they've created a darn good sequel to their first game, putting all the care, love, and effort into it that they needed to. Rod Ferguson is scared. He is threatened, so he's lashing out.
It's possible, yeah. It's definitely possible that he's scared. And to be honest, you should be. You see your competitor who was smaller and maybe is still considered smaller overall, I mean, compared to all of Blizzard. But, you know, the Diablo 4 team specifically compared to, you know, grinding gear games, they were smaller and they're growing, at least in popularity, maybe not in, you know, employee size or whatever. But they're growing in popularity and they're overtaking you. What's going on? Come on. You should be looking at that and saying, what can we learn from them to make our game better? And then we should innovate on that even more, right? To actually be competitive.
With this in creating content on YouTube and in my workplace, it's plain to see. Grinding Gear Games has made something tremendous with Path of Exile 2. It has Blizzard shivering and the game isn't even out yet.
Yep.
You know what this reminds me of? all the game developers coming out and saying to not expect games in line with the quality of Baldur's Gate 3 after its tremendous success on release.
I remember that, man. That was so ridiculous. Actual devs being like, hey, guys, don't try to hold us to the Baldur's Gate 3 standard, okay? You can't expect us to make fantastic games. We need to be allowed to make mediocre or subpar games, okay? Stop not buying our games, right? Please still buy our games because we deserve it, because we work so hard to make these mediocre games. What? Yeah, so out of touch.
BG3 was an anomaly, a standard other devs shouldn't be held to. That was a hilarious line of logic,
Yeah.
and Rod seems to be going down the same path and sniffing the same copium. What's even juicier is that Grinding Gear Games acknowledged this issue in the ARPG genre, that the ARPG genre has problems with endgame content delivery and iterating on systems, and they decided to refocus their efforts on doing exactly that for their huge launch. Something that they didn't do with Path of Exile 1, Diablo 4 hasn't done, and Last Epoch didn't do either.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Last Epoch as well. I was playing through the story and it was pretty interesting. And then I was hearing the same things, like, oh, the end game's kind of boring, kind of bland, kind of bleh. And it just made me not want to play the game anymore after hearing that stuff. So yeah, it really is true. I mean, Grinding Gear Games, they looked at that little genre there, ARPG, and what are we doing in the industry? And how do we make it better so that we're the most competitive? And they are doing it. They are doing it.
They recognized this and decided to act instead of just complaining.
Right.
Immediately as he saw the genius Path of Exile 2 presentation, he knew what could potentially happen. If Grinding Gear Games succeed in their goal, crafting a game just as deep as Path of Exile 1, with a far better onboarding system, with clear explanations of crafting, skills, the campaign, endgame, and everything else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I would say about Path of Exile 1 is that it's so deep. And that's probably one of the big reasons that I haven't played much, is just because it's so vast and there's such a big learning curve, right? I basically go straight to a guide. I don't do any theory crafting because there's so much of it that's already been done. It's like, okay, people already know what the best builds are. I'm just going to go to a build guide and just follow that. I'm just going to get through the story. There's so much to this game. And the new game, Path of Exile 2, kind of taking out some of those difficulties, some of those barriers to entry. I mean, really, this could be big. It could be huge.
Diablo 4 is cooked, and Rod, thereby, is also cooked.
Cooked.
Path of Exile 2 is looking stellar, and he knows it.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, I'm chatting with one of the people in charge of Path of Exile 2 live on Twitch and YouTube on November 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 o'clock p.m. CET. If you'd like to tune in live, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube or follow me on Twitch. Additionally, like the video if you ended up liking it. It really helps and is completely free. I'll see you in the next video. Stay sane, my fellow Exile.
Dude, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. Blizzard treating Path of Exile and Grinding Gear Games as like the little stepbro that, you know, is just copying them. Like, oh gosh, you're so annoying. Stop copying me. And then they take the copying method and just run. They run in their own direction. Innovation, just super good gameplay and amazing endgame. They just run. And now Path of Exile 2, even more so. They are killing it. They are absolutely killing it. And Blizzard should be scared. Rod Ferguson, you should be scared, man. Make your game better. Lobby your upper management in Blizzard to give you more freedom to make your game better. You know, stop worrying about monetization so much and worry about making the game better, which will in turn sell more copies of your game. It's so straightforward. It's so easy. But obviously, Grinding Gear Games has got it down. They don't even charge for their game. They're so certain of their game and its gameplay, they don't even charge for it. They make money off of cosmetics and stuff. Like, what? Oh my gosh. And it has got them to this point. That model, it's impressive. It's really impressive. A free-to-play game can be this good. That is crazy. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that little journey through Path of Exile hype, and I will see you in the next video.